Long ago, a war was waged. This war flew across the overworld, decimating the societies of old. Of these people, there were 44 champions. These champions each had mastered the elements and animals with their land. Fire, ice, emerald, sea, ender, and many more. They created blades to focus their power. These blades are known now as the 44 fabled foils. My goal today is to collect as many of these swords as I can in 100 days. Hey everyone, my name's MDC9 and welcome to 100 Days as an Ancient Sword Collector. Essentially, this adventure is all about exploring and finding all the swords in Effect 99's Swords, and More Swords mod. Anyways, enough babbling, let's jump straight into it. Day 1, I spawned in a snowy taiga. It was right next to a mega taiga which I decided to venture into. And judging by the azalea trees, and this giant sinkhole, it seemed that underneath me was a vast lush cave system. However, I was still a weakling, so no caving just yet. I reached the base of the mountain and noticed a flat peninsula that had a spectacular view. I decided I would live there since it kind of fits the theme of this video. You know, swords, medieval, fantasy, magical, all that good stuff. I started mining into one of the massive spruce trees, then traveled across the river to get some stone. I crafted my stone tools as well as a couple extra axes, then started removing some of the trees. I mined most of the trees that I wanted to, but I was running out of hunger. This led to me being on 1 heart and no sprint by morning. Day 2, I died. Good thing this isn't hardcore. I respawned and got my meager items back and then started flattening out the land where I would live. I wanted to get myself a base before I start collecting the swords. By nightfall I had gotten a decent slice of flat land, so I put up a chest and got my excess gear in there. Then I went to start farming when I was ambushed by a trident wielding drown. I tried to evade the heathen, but eventually it stuck its weapon into my face, killing me once again. I respawned and shortly got eaten alive by some zombies. Then, upon defeating the mobs, I fell into a cave and drowned, becoming the very monster that caused this mess. I respawned again and finally got back to my items and finished my starter farm. Day 3, I went back to that crater in hopes that I would be able to get enough gear to not die every 12.5 seconds. However, I only got some coal, copper, and a few bits of iron. On the upside, I did kill 2 endermen. Just a quick note, I swear to God that my world is completely just haunted because these zombie villagers have Herobrine eyes and I didn't expect that. It must be something to do with one of the mods. On returning to my camp, I found a zombie wearing chainmail armor, so I killed it and claimed its wares as my own. Then I crafted a fishing rod. I continued to fish throughout day 4. Day 5, I cooked up the fruits of the previous day, then went out exploring. I ended up finding 2 ruined portals, but there was not much loot to be had. Night fell and I came across a ghost. I tried to kill it, but my blade passed clean through its body with no resistance. So I continued on my way and ended up in a small cave where I gathered diorite that I would need for my home. As the night started to end, I found a dripstone cave. Day 6, I entered the cave and started to gather iron. In the wall, I found a strange new ore that looked like silver. However, I don't think I can mine it yet. Suddenly, I slipped on the slick ground and fell off my ledge. Good news though, my fall was broken by a stalagmite running me through. Frantic, I respawned at camp and gathered some food for the sprint back. Luckily, I was able to get back in time and I gathered my gear. I went deeper into the cave and found an abandoned mineshaft that I started to explore. I got more iron and even found a zombie dungeon. I looted the dungeon then continued to explore the mineshaft. I came across a witch and removed her ability to speak by stabbing her repeatedly. I took this deadly foe as my cue to leave, so I left the cave. I surfaced day 7 and decided to explore a little bit more. I discovered a huge cavern and decided to enjoy the brilliant generation. Then a family of zombies jumped me and the child disemboweled me. Yet again, I had found myself frantically gathering what little food I had left. This time I decided to craft a boat so I would not have to run through the forest at night. I sailed down the river to the first cavern, then took my sprint to the land. I'll be honest, it was like 3 AM when I heard this sound effect and it scared the absolute shit out of me. I had no idea that it was in the mod. It just completely came up unexpectedly and oh my god, I'm getting PTSD flashbacks just talking about it. I got back to the cavern's entrance and killed the final zombie there. I guess the child had decided to use my entrails as a toy somewhere else in the cave. Finally, I decided to go home before I lost my life again. I returned day 8 and put my ores to smelt. I was running out of storage, so I made a second chest and put building materials in it. I crafted up my new armor and tools, then went across the river and started mining for stone throughout the night. On day 9, I put the cobble I had collected to smelt, but I knew I was not going to have enough coal, so I went out in search of some. This led me back to the crater where I found out that I had missed a spider dungeon. As the sun started to set, a group of pillagers showed up, crossbows locked and loaded. After a short battle, I emerged victorious and went home. I started to lay the foundation for my build on day 10. I want to build a rock with a huge sword lodged in the stone with my home underneath it. By nightfall, I had finished the rock and the surrounding details, so I started to work on the sword. Then, the drown that had shit on me, day 2, showed up again, but now it was this creature's turn to face the blackness of death. I claimed its trident as a trophy. I quickly ran out of diorite, so I returned to the crater and started to mine out a huge pocket of diorite. Day 11, I finished the blade of the sword, totally didn't fall on my death, and added more detail to the stone. During the night, I started work on the hilt of the sword. By noon day 12, I had finished the hilt, but I felt it was missing a couple of things, so I continued to work on it. I totally didn't die a second time and then removed the dirt scaffolding. As dawn broke, I stepped back to look at my work, and honestly, I think it looks pretty good, don't you think? Day 13. Oh boy, day 13. I started the unlucky day by creating a larger, more profitable farm. After that, I started to dig down to the deep slate layer so I would have reliable access to deep slate. I splashed down into a flooded cave which I blocked off. Then I fell into another cave, this one filled with mobs. There were like 3 skeletons and 5 creepers, so I promptly died. I got back down and apparently there was a witch too, as well as a 6th creeper that blew up and destroyed my beloved trident. I think you can tell that I died again because now there are 5 skeletons. I respawned again and started spamming torches before I died again. I went down again and got peppered with arrows to death. So I went down again and died again, now with 2 zombies joining the fray. I went down one final time and took care of the remaining mobs. I gathered loot from my multitude of corpses and went back to the surface to regroup with what items I had left. I did get lucky and got a carrot, so I added to my farm. Then I went back down into that hellhole and finished off the tunnel. Day 14, I put in the ladders to my mineshaft and started to dig out deep slate. I then resurfaced and got to work on the interior of my home. Day 15, I carved out a circular shape which, thank God, only took 1 try. Then I started hollowing out the room. Day 16, I finished digging out the room and started laying the floor down. However, I ran out of deep slate, so I returned to the mines to get more. This continued into day 17 where I finished the floor and started on the roof. But I ran out of diorite, so I started to work on the walls by putting in a cobblestone base with spruce log supports. Day 18, I went back to the crater and cleared out more of the diorite vein. I returned home and put in the ceiling. Then I put in spruce planks for the main body of the walls and some torches to light the place up. There was still a dark spot in the middle, so I put down some glowberries to add some ambience on day 19. Finally, I furnished the room and organized my chests. Day 20, I prepared to go mining for diamonds and obsidian, but I saw a cow, and since I wanted to make a haul for the swords, I needed leather, so I put the cow in a pen and spent the rest of the day searching for a second cow. At night, I descended into the deep slate mines and went spelunking from day 20 to day 23. All the mining was going fine and I was finding diamonds, gold, iron, and coal. I ended up collecting the obsidian I needed, but I kept going. I found this weird ore which I mined with my new diamond pickaxe, but when I broke it, the ore exploded and damaged me. It didn't kill me, but it did scare the shit out of me. Apparently, it's a quartz diamond. I also found a skeleton dungeon, so now I have found all 3 dungeon types. Then I found something that put more fear in my soul than the quartz diamond. Skulk. Just the thought of the warden deeply troubled me, so I hightailed it back home. When I got back to the surface, I put some ores in the furnace and organized my chest. As the sun started to rise, I lit my nether portal and prepared to enter literal hell. Day 24, I entered the portal and immediately started gathering glowstone and gold. Then I got attacked by some weird creature. Literal fire. I think it's how I'm supposed to be able to make the fire sword, but it didn't drop any fire, so I have no idea. I continued to mine gold when this ghast attacked me. I ended up running around like a chicken with its head cut off until it left me alone. I ran off and went to mine more gold, but then I did every Minecraft player's worst fear. I hit a pigman. I instantly sprinted down a cave and blocked myself off and killed the ones that had followed me. I got out and tried to attack the living fire again, but it didn't work and I was brought down to 2 hearts. There wasn't much left for me in the nether for now, so I left. Then I went back into the caves and mined for gold. I continued mining for gold on day 25. I surfaced and smelted my gold. When it was done, I crafted 2 swords, a regular old gold sword and the clock sword. After that, I did a little bit of fishing. I started a long expedition on day 26 because I wanted to find a desert for the cactus sword. Nothing really interesting happened, but I did find a trash shipwreck. Day 27, I found the opposite of a desert, the snowy peaks. The cave system underneath the mountains were awesome, and I bet you anything that there's an ancient city down there. Day 28, I finally found a village. I was running low on food, so I harvested their potatoes and cooked them in the butcher shop. I also mined some extra coal from a nearby stony shore. I stayed at the village until the morning of day 29, at which point I resumed my journey. I found another shipwreck, this time with better loot, and then continued running across the world. As dawn broke, I found my destination. Day 30, I found a desert temple right away that I looted. Then I got my cactus. I continued to explore the desert and found another village. I stole all of their hay bales and moved on. By nightfall, I had found another desert temple, and in it was the TNT sword. Soon after, on the morning of day 31, I found the big penis biome. My inventory was chock full of loot, so I turned back. As I sailed the ocean, I raided submerged ruin portals and a couple of shipwrecks. I came ashore and ran across the plains, finding another village at the other shoreline. This iron golem seems to be having some trouble. Day 32, the footage corrupted, but all I really did was sail across the ocean. I pretty much did the same on day 33 and looted a singular ruin portal. On day 34, I got back to spawn and I ran through the snowy taiga. It was beautiful. I finally got back to the base and got organized. I also crafted the cactus sword. Then I went out in search of another cow. However, I didn't find another cow. Instead, I found another legion of pillagers, and this time the battle was a lot closer than I'd like to admit. Day 35, I exchanged my gear for a worse set and went to the nether to find a nether fortress. However, the first pit of lava I had to cross claimed my life. I entered the nether a second time and this time made it to a nearby basalt delta before I ran out of blocks. So I returned home and grabbed more. Unfortunately, this biome was not very forgiving and I ended up taking another lava bath. I gave up on that route, so I decided to go the complete opposite direction. But I ran out of blocks, so I took the easy way out. I got back to where I was and continued to bridge right into day 36. I was able to find the fortress, but the natives murdered me. This time I geared up and ran back to the fortress to get blaze rods. As I towered up, the piglins found me again, but I took care of them. I made it into the fortress, but wither skeletons chased me and killed me. And to add insult to injury, a gas fireball spawned in on my corpse and burnt my items. Kinda pissed, not gonna lie. But I sucked it up and made new iron gear, then went back in. Then, while I was on the path to the fortress, a fucking magma cube knocked me into the lava. I survived, but god damn! I started to go up to the staircase, but then a ghast attacked me and blew up the bridge. Can I get a fucking break, please? Despite all of that, I was able to get into the fortress and I even got some food from my other corpse. Then I got a wither skull. I started going around and exploring the fortress and killing Blaze. Hi, Editing Chris here. I didn't even realize until now, but the Blaze have Herobrine eyes just like the zombie villagers from earlier. On day 37, I came across an enclosed spawner that I farmed until my sword broke. Then I left the fortress to return home. After what felt like hours, I got back home. I organized and crafted the glowstone sword. Day 38, I got more cows on my farm and then dug to bedrock, and I feel like an idiot. I thought that since there was a bedrock sword, I would be able to break bedrock with a diamond pickaxe or something, but no, you have to use the Ultra Instinct sword or you have to throw the Nether Star sword into fire. Day 39, I went to a woodland mansion since I could get both the emerald sword and the lapis sword. I got there and immediately died to a vindicator. I ran back, reclaimed my items, and set my spawn in the mansion. And for the rest of the day, I tried to loot the mansion as I got cleaved in two by the illagers. I finished looting the first floor on day 40, then moved on to the second floor where I killed evokers and got totems. I also looted the third floor, but after all of that senseless death, I didn't even get what I came for. I guess I did get the totems, but it still annoyed me, so on day 41, I set the mansion on fire. After that, I got home and got organized. When night fell, I went out in search of a ghost. I found one and furiously tried to attack it, and after a whole night of doing that, I got the ghost sword. I held the sword in my hands and became a ghost myself while I went home. I also x-rayed a bit with the sword. Day 42, I went out in search of the dripstone cave I mined in previously. I wanted to search the mine shaft for the spider sword, but I searched it all the way through day 43 and didn't find it. On the bright side, I did get a bunch of quartz diamonds and some silver. Day 44, I left the cave and went off to a cluster of buried treasures that I had found. I tried to grab a chest that was deep underwater and ended up drowning, so I had to do yet another recovery run to get my loot back. After that, I searched another chest and got the sea sword. I searched more chests throughout the night and partway into day 45 and ended up with a lot of loot. I returned home and spent the night getting organized and preparing for my next trip. Day 46, I went off in search of a nearby jungle. During the trip, I found multiple savanna villages which I looted. By day 47, I had found the jungle. My goal was to fish in the jungle to reel in the jungle sword. However, after an entire hour of fishing, I still haven't gotten it. This was so mind-numbing that even listening to music could not scare off the boredom. What a way to use days 47 to 50. And speaking of day 50, now that we're halfway through these 100 days, could I ask you to subscribe? I mean, you've made it this far through the video, so chances are you enjoy it. And if you enjoy my content, there's so much more of it you could check out. And if not, that's completely fine. Anyways, enough shameless begging for subscribers. Back to the video. Day 51, I finally reeled in the jungle sword. As night fell, I started to travel home, but then a king slime came across my path. I tried to kill it, but it ended up killing me. I quickly geared up, then retrieved all of my items on day 52. The remainder of the day I spent killing hordes of king slimes until I got the slime sword. Day 53, I finally started my journey home, and I think my mod files might be glitched because now the land is covered with these slimes. And y'all know how much I hate slime mobs. It took me all day, but I finally got home by morning. Day 54, I crafted a set of diamond armor. Then I set off on a journey for the ice sword. This journey continued into day 55 where I got jumped by another king and killed. The rest of the trip was smooth sailing, and on day 56, I finally got the ice sword. Day 57, I tried to raid a pillager outpost, however, they had the high ground, and I just barely got out of there with my life. I went to a nearby village to get snow and accidentally started a raid. But I got what I needed and left the village to fend for themselves on day 58 so I could get my ass home. As night fell, karma hit me like a truck. I fell into powdered snow with a king slime chasing me. After a long battle, I killed the beast and fell into my bed. Day 59, I tunneled out of the mountain and ran like hell. Eventually, I found the bee stinger sword after genociding a family of bees. When night fell, I heard the howl of an alpha wolf. I towered up to search for it, but no luck. Day 60, the footage cut out, but I got home safely. On day 61, I traveled to my stronghold, and I need to fess up. I've been using a seed map to find my way around, but it's only for the sake of time. Anyways, I found my portal room and a lot of books, but not much else, and by day 62, I was back home. I spent day 63 traveling to a second woodland mansion hoping for loot. I raided it on day 64 and almost died when I got jumped by the homeowners. Despite all of that, I got less loot than the first mansion, so I left on day 65 and went to a nearby stronghold. I explored it and found the lapis sword. Day 66, I spent breaking my legs and running home. Day 67, I came out of the nether portal already on fire. I was looking for the fire sword, blaze sword, wither skeleton sword, and the spectral sword. I totally got the spectral sword here, but it fell in lava. So I went to my fortress into my blaze spawner where I started spawning snow golems to kill the blaze. However, it didn't work, so I looked for wither skeletons, but I couldn't find any. More broken shit, I guess. On day 68, I continued to try and get the spectral sword and the fire sword, but after a full day of getting blown up and set on fire, I returned home empty-handed. Day 69, I whipped out my sword to mess around with. Then I made my enchant setup. I spent days 70 to 72 AFK with the lapis sword in hand to gain levels while I played Slither.io, Agar.io, and Diep.io. I only got jumped by King Slime a couple of times. I finished my enchanting with some banger gear and then repaired my farm from the constant slime attacks. Day 73, I spent traveling to and searching through another stronghold. I didn't find the emerald sword, but I did find a lot of quartz diamonds. This continued through day 74 and 75. Towards the end of day 75, I continued to dig down into an ancient city. Before long, I had angered the warden. Day 76, my recording file corrupted again. All I did was escape the warden's grasp and run home. However, I did find the magma sword in an ocean ruin. Day 77, I crafted the quartz sword. When I put it in the chest, it decided that it wanted to kill me, so that's great. I spent the rest of the day smelting food and tending to my crops. Day 78 was spent traveling to a desert so I could get the skeleton bone sword, spider sword, the ultra instinct sword, the ender sword, and the ender pearls. Day 79, I dug down into a mine shaft, and after a bit of searching, I found the spider sword and a notch apple in the same chest. I spent the rest of the night killing skeletons. During the daytime of day 80, I went out in search of another sea sword so I could search through a monument that I had found when I was sailing to the desert. When night fell, I continued to kill skeletons, but I ended up finding a desert well, which I needed for the Ultra Instinct sword. For some reason, day 81 didn't get recorded, so now this is day 81. On the real day 81, I ended up getting the Ultra Instinct sword from the well. Then, I used it to get bedrock. Finally, I dug down to a skeleton dungeon and farmed it until I got the skeleton bone sword. On quote, day 81, unquote, I looted the monument and traveled home. On day 82, I repaired my armor and started my journey in search of ocean monuments. I found 3 of them on day 83 and ended up getting both the sponge sword and the wet sponge sword, so on day 84 I went back home. I spent day 85 down in the depths of hell getting ancient debris for my sword. I got every piece I needed and upgraded my sword. I went back to the nether day 86 so I could gather ender pearls. It would have been nice to get a couple of swords, looking at you, Spectral and Fire, but it's alright. Day 87 was a prep day. I wanted to kill the ender dragon, so I packed an extra set of gear, enchanted a bow, and spent the night searching for wool so I could set my spawn in the portal room. Day 88, I went to my stronghold and lit the portal. I steeled my nerves and jumped in. After a couple of minutes, I had destroyed all of the crystals, and after that, I made quick work of the dragon. I went back to the overworld for a brief minute so I could get more blocks and pearls, then went to the outer end islands, and I ended up spawning right next to an end city with a ship. Day 89, I looted the end city and started traveling to another one. I reached it and got 2 shulker swords in a row. I finished looting the second city on day 90 and went home. Then, I repaired my helmet and got organized. Day 91, I traveled to yet another stronghold and finally found the emerald sword. Day 92, I went into the nether with a single goal: get the spectral sword. I ended up achieving this goal and hightailed it out of there. Day 93, I started on the display hallway for my collection of swords. I dug out the room, then went to my nether fortress for the nether bricks. I returned home, put the floor in, and then I put the deep slate bricks in for the ceiling. However, I didn't have enough, so on day 94, I went to the old deep slate mine and gathered enough for it. Then, I went to the end and mined up a ton of endstone to make bricks for the walls, which I installed on the same day. Day 95, I hopped into the nether real quick to get some glowstone for lighting. Then, I flew to the first mansion in order to get dark oak. By the end of the day, I had put up the wooden support beams and installed the item frames. Day 96, I started naming the swords and installing them into the hallway. Of course, the quartz sword killed me, so that was fun. By the end of the day, I had put all of the swords on display. Day 97, I reorganized all of my items and labeled them. This project took all day because of all of the looting and mining I had done. Day 98, I finally named my dogs. One got named Marley, after my IRL dog, one was named Jim Jams, after the Lovejoy dog, and finally, the Protector of the Blades. Then, I tended to my crops and made everything look good. Day 99, I placed my armor onto a stand and went up onto the giant sword to clean up the copper which had oxidized over time. Then, I pillared up and took a screenshot of my base. I think it looks great. I started off the big day 100 with saying goodbye to my pet king slime, Chonky. Then, I did a walkthrough of my collection, shall we? First off, we have the basic wooden sword and then the stone sword. Then, we have the silver sword and the coal sword. Next is the iron sword, trident, and golden sword. Ah yes, the classic diamond sword, and now the emerald sword. The lapis sword. Now my prized netherite sword. You're a beast and you've served me so well. Thank you, my old friend. Next up is the sponge sword and its sister, the wet sponge sword. Oh, that's great. It's the sister because it's wet. Get it? Then we have the jungle sword, followed by the cactus sword. Now for the sea sword and the ice sword. And why not, let's throw in the magma sword and glowstone sword while we're at it. The TNT sword, and now the skeleton bone sword. Now we have the bee stinger, and the beautiful spectral sword. We have the spider sword and the slime sword, which was a gift from Chonky. Next is the ghost sword, with the shulker sword and the clock sword following it. Finally, we have the bedrock sword, the ultra instinct sword, and the uber powerful quartz diamond sword. All in all, I collected 31 out of the 44 fabled foils. After touring my showroom, I said goodbye to Marley. I promised to walk the real you after this goes up. Then, I gave Jim Jams a jukebox to blast music. Finally, I said goodbye to the protector of... Well, that's just my luck. I did what I could to repair the damage, but it's not perfect. Then, I healed the Protector of the Blades and gave him honorary armor for his service. I killed, thank God, one last king slime, then put all my items in a chest. Finally, I fell into my bed and ended my quest. And there we go! That was 100 days as an ancient sword collector. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and if you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to get notified of any future streams or videos, then tap the bell. All of that's completely optional, but it would help me so much with the algorithm. If you want to find me in any other ways, go to my Twitter at MDC918, my Instagram at MDC9_YT, and my Discord server. If you'd like to chat with me, go to my Discord at MDC9 number 9377, my Snapchat at MDC_YT, or my email at realytmdc9@gmail.com. A special thanks to Effect99 for creating the mod used in this video. All links and credits will be in the description. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see all of y'all in the next one. Bye guys!